I didn't know it would last this long. I had no idea.
It's been so freeing to create this world and to live in this world for this long. It's just a really special bond that we have.
We didn't have nearly as large of a cast back then, so it was a much smaller ragtag group of people who were there all the time.
It was just us in the woods as a family just kicking butt.
I wasn't really 100% sure how the general public would take it.
We never dreamed that there would be this kind of response to the show.
21 million people a week watching your show at the height of it.
I thought that I would be fine prepared. I fucking was not.
Because it was like jumping on a moving train.
You will not be able to talk about the history of television without talking about AMC's The Walking Dead.
I love that I get to be a part of something that meant so much to people.
For all the skepticism about whether a zombie show could work on TV, it kind of blew everyone away as to what could be done with this genre. It felt very special from the beginning.
How do you bring a story like this to a conclusion that is worth the legacy of what this show is?
What do we want to give people? Why have they been with us this long, and how do we honor that?
The goal from the beginning was make it as big and make it as impressive as we possibly can.
It's just gonna be crazy, man.
Have I thought about the end? Yeah. Kind of breaks my heart, to be honest.
We're going to see a bit of the OG Walking Dead return. Get ready. It's going to be bloody.
So we ready to roll? I'll have you introduce yourself and kind of tell me what your job is on the show.
Hi, I'm Tom Luce. I'm an executive producer on The Walking Dead and part of the producing team.
I'm Denise Huth, and I'm one of the executive producers on The Walking Dead.
My name is Scott Gimple. I am the Chief Content Officer of The Walking Dead universe.
My name is Angela Kang, and I am the showrunner of The Walking Dead.
My name is Gregory Paul Nicotero, March 15th, 1963, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I've been here basically longer than anybody, so I know it all.
For any of us that started on the show early enough, I don't know that there were very many people who were like, this can totally become a franchise. We were just like, well, this is the show, and we're gonna make the best version of this show that we can for as long as we're allowed to.
The Walking Dead has always been the greatest summer camp on Earth. That aspect of it, of us being in Sonoy, this lovely little town, just doing our thing, away from the world. There was a purity to that.
The expectations at the beginning were not that we were going to become what we have become.
It's been interesting. I've done a lot of zombie movies. I've never done a zombie school. So I thought that it was really good for me to be able to go through and kind of handpick the people that I really liked. For quite a while, we had talked about the idea of doing some sort of genre zombie show. And then, of course, The Walking Dead comes along, the comic book.
We first got the rights to the comic book way back in 2005 and spent 5 years trying to get it made. And so AMC finally said yes, and we were able to shoot that first season in 2010.
Oh, then we just take one.
There was so much care and thought that went into that original casting. You know, I remember being there for when Andy came and did a screen test and Bernthal and Sarah, and it just felt very special from the beginning. It felt like this little kernel of something that could be amazing and we wanted to protect.
I won't do it. We can't just leave.
Carol, the group is split. We're scattered and weak.
What if she comes back and we're not here? Could happen.
If Sophia found her way back and we were gone, that would be awful.
I came to be a part of the show having done a film called The Mist, and I think it was 3 years later, and totally unexpected, got a phone call. They had a role for me in The Walking Dead. I had no idea what The Walking Dead was. I remember going to the comic store to find out what it was, and I opened the book, just some random page. And it was, and I was like, oh dear, well, I don't know. What am I getting myself into?
I read the pilot. It seemed super honest. I didn't really read zombies into the pilot. I saw a man trying to find his family and being confused and worried. And it really struck with me.
Dad! Getting cast on the show was pretty fast and really exciting. They originally had said, we're going to bring you out for a screen test with Stephen Yeun. And then like a day later, they said, actually, we're going to fly you to Georgia and you're going to start filming.
It was just sort of the perfect work atmosphere. And everybody was very excited. Because we were going into an unknown. There wasn't a show quite like The Walking Dead. Nobody knew what was going to become of it. We were aware that this would be a 6-episode pilot. We didn't know if we would have another season.
There was no expectation of a season 2. So it sort of felt like do whatever we got to do and just get through those 6 episodes.
Our production budget and our crew size was modest. We had very few resources to make the show. What we had were an amazingly dedicated team behind and in front of the camera.
A variety of different bloods. We got like our zombie blood. We have dark zombie blood, dressing blood, pumping blood, dark pumping blood, mouth blood, zombie mouth blood. So I think 6 different kinds of blood, something like that, yeah.
We shot on 16mm film. We did almost all of our effects in camera and kind of embraced an old school horror mentality that got me very excited about new ways of filmmaking.
Ooh, there we go. You know, it felt like a little feature, to be honest. It felt like a movie. Who are these people? It was the first thing I'd done with a group of actors that were 100% behind you. Everybody was in it to win it, and it was a family.
That whole ensemble feel was really laid down really nicely by Andy Lincoln.
He was like a superb leader.
I want to make this as real, as harrowing, as raw, and as exciting as I can possibly do. I'm going to give it my all.
Everybody really bonded like that. You know, we were away from Hollywood, away from our families. We were out here in the woods. It was just kind of our little bubble.
It's sort of the lore of the show, how the cast in those first few seasons, you know, they never went to their trailers. They never went on set. It's just they came to set in the mornings and that's where they were.
This is a segment called Hugs for Free. No.
It felt very almost student filmish in a way, but we had a better budget than that. I mean, not great, but better.
Episode 2 in the can.
A lot of people initially were like, oh yeah, it's a zombie show. It's not really my thing. And then word of mouth came out and people would say, it's not a zombie show. There are zombies in it, but that's not what it's about. This is a story about survival. This is a story about people banding together to fight against a greater common enemy. And that's how we fell in love with Daryl. You fell in love with Carol. You fell in love with Maggie. You fell in love with Rick. And that's when the show began to gain a lot of momentum. It was pretty fascinating what we were able to do. The fact that we were changing the rules of television and changing the rules of genre storytelling. I really do feel that Walking Dead's footprint has been emulated in so many shows since then, because up to that point, we'd never seen anything like it on TV.
I remember early on thinking this is absolutely phenomenal. Suddenly, people know who I am. And you realize this is kind of a big deal.
There was definitely a moment when it felt a bit overwhelming that it had gotten so popular. And I remember Stephen and I talking about it and kind of trying to find a way to process that you were that interesting to people.
You know, the thing about the fandom and the popularity of the show, we didn't really feel it till like season 3 or 4 because we were out here. We were so deep in it that we didn't really see the outside world.
It's pretty incredible to be a part of something that becomes a worldwide phenomenon. I feel so fortunate to have been a part of putting something together that resonated as much as this did.
It wasn't like we went to those fan events and there was like 10 people and then 100 people and 1,000 people. We just went to them and there was 10,000 people, like right off the bat. And it was like that everywhere. There were drones being flown around here, people trying to spy, there were people hiding in the woods.
I've never had an experience where I've gone somewhere or somebody's noticed or said anything when it hasn't been an emotional connection with a fan. And I just thought, yeah, because that's how we feel when we make it.
Thing that's interesting right now in terms of making people realize is that, we're officially in prep for the last episode. It's not just an episode.
Walkers, everybody, stunt walkers, everybody's got to be full performance every time, no sleepy walkers. Every time it's got to be spot on, right? Thank you so much.
So am I looking into any
You look at me.
Look at you? Great.
Well, they're also prescription. I'll take them off at some point. How about that?
So how much of me can you see? Waist up?
Where's my white socks?
So you can see my socks?
White
Hold on,
socks.
let's cut.
Yeah.
Well, you should sit over there, because that way if I say something bad, I can see Brandy over your shoulder going,
Yeah, I feel like I should be here though. I should be like, I can't believe it's over.
My name is Ross Marquand and I play Aaron.
I'm Seth Gilliam and I play Father Gabriel.
I'm Josh McDermott, I play Eugene.
I'm Kari Payton, I play King Ezekiel.
My name is Kaylee Fleming, and I play Judith Grimes.
I am Lauren Ridloff. I play Connie on The Walking Dead.
The experience getting cast on the show for me was life-changing.
It was pretty surreal.
Fans came up to me and said, "You should be Negan." It was maybe the most exhilarating work I think I'd ever done up to that point.
I was a bit intimidated coming here with an ensemble cast who had been doing this and had made such a name for themselves.
Very intimidating coming into a show that you love. You don't want to be the one who screws it up.
It was kind of like, here's a script, dude. Don't screw this up, you know?
But we'd all tell you the same thing. We were welcomed right away.
Andy gave me some shit initially, but it was very good-natured.
My first day on set, I was just blown away about how kind they were. They were so welcoming and accepting of me.
Andy, what's your name? Addie.
Andy Lincoln came on a day off just to greet us. Who's done that for me before in my career? Nobody.
Before I even got on a plane to fly out to Georgia, Steven Yeun was emailing me saying, "Hey, here's my number, let's hang out, let's, welcome to the show, I'm excited to be working with you." That really set the tone.
When you're coming into such a crazy environment, it's such a nice thing to do. I want to do that for people in my career.
This was a really tricky year. It's been a really tricky 2 years for the entire world. And our writers were already well at work in the room in January, February, March of 2020.
Our usual schedule, we start the writer's room in January. And then, we work for a certain number of weeks and then we pitch AMC our plans for the season, and then we start writing, and then we start shooting somewhere around the end of April, beginning of May.
We had actually just had a pitch, what we thought was going to be a traditional season 11 of 16 episodes, and then the pandemic hit.
At that time, we were already in pre-prep, like sets were being built, department heads were getting ready to travel, like all of that kind of stuff. It became apparent that this wasn't like gonna be a 4-week thing where we pause and then we got back up and running. We were just starting to understand it was going to be very hard to produce the episodes that we initially had planned for start of season 11, but we were one of the early shows that started producing again. Really, not very many people were able to get up and running very quickly in 2020 because there were all these health protocols that had to be figured out. It was this huge learning curve.
I got you.
I honestly thought this show was going to keep going for a while.
One, I think more than anything, it was a shock.
I kind of had a wave of panic. I was like, wait, I'm never going back there again? What are you talking about? I don't know, it's surreal. I haven't really accepted that it's over, I don't think, to be honest.
And then we got this phone call saying, hey, so we're gonna do 24 episodes. And of course, first thing I thought about is, holy shit, like shooting 16 episodes almost kills us. How are we gonna shoot 24 episodes? I mean, this is not a courtroom drama. This show is hardcore.
It's like every episode we approach it like it's its own little indie movie. I think for everybody, just the idea of how do we produce this in the time that we have with the restrictions that we have.
How do you bring a story like this to a conclusion that is worth the legacy of what this show is?
This is a very widespread story with literally dozens of well-known characters that you have to pay off, and that's a very difficult thing to do.
People are getting used to it.
What I'll say is that, like, I know that every person in this room was like, oh shit, we have to end the series. Like, let us not fuck this up.
Angela Kang and the writers really had to, drop whole things that they had been working on to shift gears, to do more episodes, to get us into the 24 episodes of season 11. Oh, and by the way, you also have to wrap up the whole show.
It's the end of the series, so we have to, you gotta raise those stakes in a way that, elevates it to the point where these are the rides we're going to take you on.
It's like a story of the gut, the heart. You're dealing with almost the bureaucracy and the institution itself as being the enemy of human progress, and how people with good intentions can still build something evil.
I don't think the Commonwealth thinks they're evil, given what's happened all around them.
In all societies where there's a figurehead and they have all the power, ultimately that power will corrupt.
So how do you still ground that down in the visceral sort of thing that makes it The Walking Dead?
We know that there's still a contingent of our people in Commonwealth that are in imminent danger.
Well, the alternative is you go out into the wasteland and you eat worms. The alternative is literally hell.
Yeah.
It's teeing up what becomes a do or die kind of situation.
There's a big statement being made this season. It's not really what we're used to. It's something we've fallen on, and then the writers themselves are telling a story of equality and social justice.
I feel like through the apocalypse, we rediscover what is really important to us. And then we have to re-enter society, and that is the Commonwealth. And we face the threat of losing ourselves once again. So the battle is really about trying to hold on what is really important.
Fallen on hard times. And that is where the Commonwealth is more than willing to help. If you remain, we can provide labor and materials to help you build back all you've lost. However, if any are interested, I do have another, potentially more interesting choice to offer.
This whole season feels like an escalation across the board. Now we're at a place where we have multiple communities, and we introduced Commonwealth this year, which is by far the most advanced community we've ever seen in the history of the show. You know, it's a community of 50,000 people. It's the closest thing to what the world used to look like that we've ever seen. And that was a huge undertaking for the production crew.
My name's Roger Scruggs. I'm the construction coordinator.
Mike Sullivan, and I'm the scenic charge.
I'm Gia Grosso. I'm the set decorator.
I'm Vera Chow. I'm the costume designer of this season of The Walking Dead.
It's been huge. We've had big builds pretty much every episode this year. It's been really ambitious. Everything that's in there in the square, the Commonwealth Square, we built this year.
They'll design the set. They'll come to me and say, this is the kind of look that I'd like, and then we just have to run with it. The first big set that we did was the Commonwealth. We had no idea how large it was going to be.
The Commonwealth is the biggest community that they've been in the show, and though it has a really dark underbelly to it, it's a community that is successful. This place, compared to any other place they've been, is so shiny and nice and safe that the place in and of itself made our characters into aliens.
You kind of walk into it and you're like, what is this? Yeah, people in outfits walking around eating cotton candy and stuff, which is definitely different than what we're used to. Yeah, like, where are we? Yeah, like, are we being punked? Like, you know? And I think it plays on my face in all the scenes there.
What I do and my department, my crew, is we handle all the set dressing. For instance, this sofa would be in our realm. We had a great time doing the Commonwealth Town because it's a mix of found things and the little bit that they do manufacture, paper goods, and we see a lot of fabrics. It was really fun to make the shops using all of those elements. There's a lot of weird shit in those shops.
We've gone from The Walking Dead back to the living people. It's kind of like they're in a community where they're not out in the wild all the time. They have running water. They clean their hands every day.
I was aware of the introduction of the Commonwealth, like brand new villains. So it was a chance to really change things up and elevate it. So we started thinking about what kind of technology would actually exist in the Commonwealth. And there's like no rules in terms of what decade we're in. It's not our actual present day. So how has fashion evolved? How has clothing and sewing evolved in this little town of 50,000 people is entirely up to me. So that was fun.
It's been such a massive transition, and there's not been a slow progression in that. We really shove our characters into quite drastic changes this season.
I think our group is too smart to be fooled by it, to be honest. And so we're kind of reluctantly pulled into it because we want safety for our kids. We want them to have a better life. And then it sort of unravels around us.
There's a direct clash, I think, for people on the outside and people on the inside. And there's an unrest inside the Commonwealth as well, and all of that is building up.
The leader is kind of a dictator, and she's lying to everybody. And they're just now opening their eyes to it, I guess.
What's exciting is Mercer has finally come around and was able to rescue Eugene, and now we're going to see what comes of that.
After having had Herschel kidnapped by Pamela, Maggie's pretty determined to put this threat to rest.
The scale of what we're trying to accomplish for this finale and building up to the finale is remarkable. And I think the scale of everything is going to be a bit bigger, a bit bolder, and a bit more surprising.
All right, here we go, team. Ready? All right, let's see what happens.
We owe it to our fans and the legacy of this show to have a, lack of a better way to say it, a thrilling conclusion to The Walking Dead, and we're going to do that.
I've never been on a show that has this many enormous sets and just trying to get sets done with the time frame of an episodic TV show, the challenge is what I really like.
When I read a script, I do get really excited when there is maybe a new scenario we haven't done before. I'd say one of the first ones that interests me was our subway tunnels. To create an apocalyptic subway tunnel was really a challenge that we all really welcomed. We just knew it was going to be so fantastic.
One of the big highlights this season, they built a 50,000-gallon water tank, and we filmed in it, and it was the flooded basement of Aaron's house. And we have Judith and Gracie are trapped down there being attacked by walkers who are in the water. Aaron's jumping in, smashing their heads in with his mace hand, and it is wild to shoot in those conditions. I'd never been able to do anything like that.
We've had quite a few sequences like that this year, and they've kind of, taken up the scale of things just a bit, those writers have.
Episode 9, we had the Hwacha, which just fires rocket arrows out as like a ballistic missile, and they're firing into a herd, and they're exploding and blowing up, and the rockets hit the walker, shooting out sparks, and then they explode into a million pieces. And there were so many elements we had to come up with.
I built a couple prototypes. Effects built the working model because mine would have caught on fire.
Excuse me. I have to take this, sorry. Hello? Everybody is at the top of their game and experts in their field. In each and every department. I'm talking greens, I'm talking art department, crafty, and sometimes when I don't necessarily have to be on set, I'll come on set just to watch them because it's so impressive.
Just tell me your name and what you do on the show.
Taylor Knight, I'm the hair department head.
Brad Carey, and I'm the key greens person.
Jeffrey January, first assistant director.
I'm Jody Winslet, I'm the transport captain.
Brian Carey, I'm the greens foreman.
Vincent Gideon, I am the key hair department for The Walking Dead.
It's been a challenging season, without a doubt. But the only way that it has survived is because the passion of the crew and the cast.
A couple more times.
I need to see 4 more tests before I'm comfortable with it.
Shooting The Walking Dead is like playing chess. It's a very complicated show to make. You have visual effects and special effects and stunts.
The glamour of The Walking Dead, there is no glamour of The Walking Dead while you're shooting The Walking Dead, It's like, go, go, go. Oh, it's hot? Well, yeah, it's hot. Oh, there are mosquitoes, there are ticks? Yeah, there are mosquitoes and ticks.
Bug spray on the tracks.
And honestly, when I'm away, I feel guilty because I know that my crew is out here busting their ass. And I want to be out here, feeling it with them. The truth is, we make magic in 8 days. And if you do it with people you love, it's actually worth
it. This show makes you uncomfortable. But I think it helps for what you guys see on the screen. You feel that uncomfortableness, and that plays because we're in the middle of an apocalypse. Those of us that have been here longer than a year are insane.
I've been in awe of the people that I've collaborated with over the last 12 years of making something that's been amazing. And we continue that dedication, that passion all the way through to the last frame.
We are going to work our asses off until then, and then we're going to have a lot of tequila. Well, I am.
Anything that happens from the moment we shoot it will take in 40, 50, 60 hours worth of material sometimes. Once we take that footage in, our assistant editors digitize that footage for the editors, put it into the machines, kind of put it into order, get it ready to be worked on.
I'm Megan. I'm the VFX coordinator.
I'm Mike, the VFX editor. I'm Alan Cody, and I'm the editor of...
I am Ryan Gard. I am the post-producer.
There's some fun stuff in post. And I think a lot of times people think like, oh, like it's done shooting, like you must all be on a break. And I'm like, no, production is on a break. There's an entire post-production process that's happening that goes on for months and months and months.
I think that's one of the misconceptions of, just in general with television and movies. It's like, as soon as you've shot it, why isn't it ready for us to watch it? So it's like, you have to go through these processes and they take a lot of time. And the post-process consists of editing, sound, visual effects, mixing, and we kind of put that whole thing together in the post-process and condense that down into something that we put out to the public.
I'm Jamie, I'm the VFX producer. Our show has a lot of killing, especially of zombies, and each actor has kind of their own like hero weapon. And if we see that green end when we're watching, we know, okay, we're gonna need to extend the length of it, and then we'll kind of take that second half that we're building and be able to swing it through the actor's head and add the blood and all of the fun stuff.
So all of those things happen. There's an entire mix process, and our post-producer does an incredible amount of work with the people that do ADR and loop group and add all the background noises.
Let's do these three right here, and then we'll move them in there. As far as sound goes, this show is, built on sound, really. I mean, there's just a lot of layers to what we do.
It is a zombie show. We take a lot of pride in the artistry that goes into the zombies. We work really hard to think about the zombies.
Here we go.
There's just some incredible work that they all do that's on screen.
The last music spot on The Walking Dead.
I know.
Oh, God. Shed a tear, and here we go.
I love working with our composers. Bear and Sam they are the best. They are so story driven. They really are thinking it through in terms of what is the story we're trying to tell.
Coming out of the previous episode, it will have been emotional. I think to some degree we can just carry that over.
Yeah. I agree. But it's I think what you're suggesting is what I wanted, which is start that more noticeably the instant passes out.
Yeah. Right.
So that that's all part of a piece.
We talk about every scene, and we talk about the episode as a whole, and we talk about what are themes that we're trying to get across, what are the emotions of this scene. And once we have that conversation, they go off and they play with it. They imagine, they come up with themes. It really just adds to the experience.
Are we still planning on recording the main title theme with the live orchestra as well? I would love to do that.
Definitely. I mean, let me put it this way.
That'd be rad.
It doesn't need it. It doesn't want it. But we'll do it because it'll look awesome. It'll sound awesome.
This idea of having Bear and Sam use a live orchestra had been kind of percolating for a while for me, and I'd been kind of thinking about it in the background. It's a big moment for the show, and when you have a live orchestra, it's big, right? It's epic. So the idea that Bear and Sam are going to deliver this music in a way that we've never experienced really on this show, it's exciting.
Some of the stuff they're composing that hasn't aired yet, it's epic. It's amazing. I think people will really, really enjoy the soundscape of these episodes.
Welcome. This particular episode, we wanted to send out the show on an even bigger note. So everybody on the show is excited to bring in the winds and the brass and just do something even bigger than normal. So just really want to say thank you to them for letting us do this tonight. And thank you all for being here. Okay, bows up, bar 2.
It's truly, truly a process that hundreds of people from start to finish are working on. It's so fun to get to be part of all of that, but just the amount of work that people put in to really craft every episode is pretty amazing.
here, is that better?
Trying to get your kick pretty much in the same direction of the lens. So you're like...
Alright, here we go. Let's try one. Here we go. Let's roll, please.
The nature of the show and being an actor on this show, you always sort of feel like the axe is about to drop on you at any second.
Sheet yourself back just a tiny bit by like that? Yep, perfect. Thank you. Okay.
I always answer the phone to Angela the same way, which is am I dead? Is it now? I don't even say hello.
All right, that's the series wrap on Michael, guys.
You know, on our show, we have wrap outs as people have their final series wraps. And the final episode of somebody who's been on the show for a while is always really emotional, you know, and usually in any given year, you might have like a handful of those.
Maggie nods her head, and Duncan closes his eyes, and she gently slides her blade up into the back of his skull. End of Act 3.
We have our traditions. We always try to celebrate when one of us, you know, goes off into the world again.
We love you.
We all had a sense that, you know, time was very precious.
I'm Michael Cudlitz.
I'm Michael Cudlitz. I'm Michael Cudlitz.
And we should invest as much in each other because you never knew when you were going to lose somebody.
It was great. As time goes on, you get used to people dying, but we just find ways to make it ridiculously celebratory and fun.
Thank you. European.
Yeah, he's European. It's special. Take as many of these traditions with us as we can, I think. It's a beautiful way, actually, to say goodbye to somebody who's been a part of the show for a long time.
You know, everybody comes here to die. When I meet somebody, that's what I say to them. Everybody comes here to die. And some people would be like horrified, but that's what our show's about.
The big departures, it's always like everybody's like a little like choked up and it's touching. But this time we had to wrap the entire cast because for everybody, this was their last episode.
How are the cast and you preparing for the end?
Taking a lot of photos, I think. It's going to be a mammoth sea of emotion when it happens. It's just crazy. Yeah, but we've done something great here, and we've got something to be so proud of. And dang, this has been... It's 1 in a million.
I went to the IMDb and just scrolled on and on and on and on, and there is almost 100 pages here of cast and crew over these seasons that have come through these doors to help make this show come to life. It's amazing to me to think that this is what I'm a part of. And we're a part of something pretty darn incredible. And I'm grateful.
I know the product that we put on screen is one thing, and that's what connects so much of the world to The Walking Dead. But for us, it's these relationships that we share.
Your pan over there. Over there.
It's been a huge, massive part of our everyday life, and that will never happen again, ever. That's what I'll miss.
I'm in denial, I'll be really honest. You know, I'll look at Norman and he'll be like, oh, it's gonna get sad.
It's very surreal to think that it's all ending now.
I've definitely had moments where I'm like, oh wow, this is the last time this and that is gonna happen. I'm nervous about saying goodbye. I'm not gonna lie.
I think I'm just gonna make an Irish exit. I haven't said goodbye yet, and I don't plan to.
I'll just dip out. It'll be too hard.
So I'm just gonna kind of walk away, and then I know I'll see everybody again, and we'll just leave it at that.
Personally, I'm trying to get as many moments individually with people as I can. I'm trying to not be fearful about sharing just how much I love them.
I hope it's not goodbye. I don't know. These are my best friends.
That's a series wrap on Mr. JDM. That's a wrap on Kari. Series wrap on Josh. Series wrap on Krishna. Mr. Norman Reedus, Daryl. Series wrap on Melissa.
Love you guys a lot.
It's truly an honor being with you today.
Thank you. It's really been one of the best experiences of my life.
The one thing we have is that we were all in the trenches together. No one can ever take that away from us.
And I won't forget you. I appreciate you.
We can lose our friends, people we love. It's not about us anymore. It's about a future.
Do I want the fans to be happy with the show? Yeah, of course. The fans and the cast and the crew and everybody else has a real relationship with the outside world through this show. You know, the number of families that have come to me, thanked me for playing the character, how I play the character. And Daryl's tough, so it's helped me get through stuff. You know, things like that have meant the world to me.
It just means so much to us that people are able to have that escape.
There are fans who tell our actors, like, this show gave me something to talk to my dad about, or it allowed me to come out to my family.
I know for me, I am eternally grateful to have been a part of it. That being said, there are new things on the horizon.
We loved being on the show. We loved making the show. It's been us against the world down here. But outside of here, it's just one big happy family.